it does turn on. And this is just one of the many issues, high performance, bad attitude, and obviously something needs to be done. We'll go into the bad attitude part later, but what we want to do is to really look into what are the definitions of a high performer. Now, if you are doing talent management, high potential, low potential, etc., you probably find this a little bit familiar and a little bit different because we're measuring attitude and skills instead of potential and performance. Right? If you're looking at a high pose, high potential, it's performance and potential. Here we're looking at attitude and skills level or contribution or performance. Now, the real high performer is actually someone who's got good attitude and good skills, good contribution. That's the real definition of high performer. If you have good performance and poor attitude, we are called a talented terrorist. You're a terrorist. Yes, talented terrorist. And of course, there are people who are great attitude, very nice, but couldn't do anything before we left their hearts. God bless you. We don't know what to do with anything with you, but you just can't do anything. Very nice person. Right, and then of course the low performer, poor attitude and poor skills, very simple, just let them go. Plus, there are two steps to this. If you have low performer, then bad attitude, poor performance. Besides letting these people go, you got to find out who and why are they hired in the first place. Who hired them in the first place? Why? Why are this performer? Right, and if someone hired someone who's here or here, we could understand. This person's got great performance, but we don't know the attitude. Or this person in the interview sounds very personable, very nice, so we could hire this or that. It's not perfect, but we understand that this is questionable. And it does happen that way. I mean, we're not saying that we should fire the one who hired this kind of person. But what we should also look into is what causes us to make such a hiring mistake, especially when you have a lot of such kind of people. Okay, so that's something to think about. Also, stuck in the middle here is the middle performer, somewhere here and there, and the majority of our employees are here. Majority of our colleagues, employees, staff, they're middle performers. So if you have opportunities in the future, we can actually look into how we actually get more results or better results from middle performance. We'll look into some of the things that motivates people, especially motivating high performance first. Now, in terms of some very profound gene theory, how many of you heard about the hygiene and motivator theory? In fact, it's motivators, okay. In terms of motivation, there are actually two kinds. One is some kind of things, when you do more, you get more motivated. If you don't do it, nothing happens. Another kind of thing is if you don't get certain things, you will be very demotivated. And if you do more, nothing happens. Right? So this some call it satisfier and motivators. So some of the things are, as long as you are satisfied, you won't be more satisfied. Right? So certain things are, if you don't have it, it's okay, but if you have more, be more motivated to do more. Okay, so there are two areas. This is what we call a task and a show. Show means a push, a kick. So what we want to do is to reduce the kinds of ill treatment, unhappy things, anything that causes you to be not satisfied. So we want to reduce that. The other thing is a task, is a pull. We want to create more motivation factors that will make you want to contribute more. Now, normally when we talk about motivation, the first thing that comes to our minds is what? How do we usually think of when it comes to motivating staff, motivating employees? What is the first thing that comes to our mind?
Rewards.
What kind of rewards?
Money.
Money. Right. So it's a very simple thing. There's no funny answers. Money, right? and money comes in various forms, and the most basic form is called salary. Your monthly pay, monthly salary, right? Now, monthly salary, is that a motivator, or is that a hygiene factor, or satisfier? Monthly salary. Why?
Well, you can't make so much with it.
We can't keep on giving
and the performance doesn't pay according to what.
Okay.
Right, and then you have an incentive that is totally.
Of course, we not pay what you get. Very simply put. Now, if your boss gives you today, say that you've done a good job, we want to keep you. Here's a 20% increase in salary. Happy? If you're happy, right? Yeah. Will you feel motivated?
Yeah.
You will, definitely. What happens 2 months later?
Back to normal.
Back to normal. When it comes to new normal, right? So that's the thing about salary. The moment the boss gives you something, you feel motivated. But after some time, it becomes the new normal. It goes back to normal. And if you look into spending patterns, some people actually has got less savings as a result of an increase in pay. Right? Now I make more money, so I spend more. So as a result, it's actually either I save less or I got more credit card bills. Right? So that's the whole thought of it. Now we're not saying that money is the best motivator. Money surely motivates. We're just looking at money for a moment now. We talk about salary. What about the other type of monetary rewards or monetary motivators? Incentives. Especially things like performance bonuses, commissions, and so on, variable pay. Incentives, are they motivators or are they hygiene factors? Motivators. Why? You need to do something, then you get it. If you don't do it, you don't get it. The more I give something in condition to do something, the more I get it. So usually that's how that works. Now, back on money. Sometimes money does not motivate at all. Money sometimes motivates. Other times, whether it's salary or incentives, hi, morning. The rest of the guys, we want to kind of spread it out so that we don't punish people who are late by making them sit alone in the gift table. Sure, you can form a new table if you want to, if it's getting too crowded. Where I was saying that sometimes money does motivate, sometimes money does not motivate at all. We're looking to hold that thought for a while. We'll just look into some definitions of motivation. Right. What is motivation? Simply put, if you look into the English word, it's just motive plus times action. The reason that I use times instead of plus is that, now what is 1 plus 0? This is not tricky. 1 plus 0 is 1, right? What is 1 times 0? 0. Right? It's not tricky. That's why if you have a lot of motive but 0 action, there's no motivation. It's a times, it's a multiplied effect. It's not a plus. It's not a summation effect. Okay, so it's a motive times action. So that's motivation. And then we can look at motive. What is motive? This is motive. Number one, if someone has motive to do something, if someone wants to do something, this is what goes into the thought process of that person. That person is going to think about, if I try to do something, can I succeed? Things like if I can get someone to jump off a 10-story building and not die, I'll give that person $1 million. No one will try. Right? So if I try to do something, will I succeed? If I don't succeed, then I'm not going to try it. The other thing is expected payoff. If I do succeed, what do I get? It can be monetary, it can be non-monetary, it can be personal satisfaction, right? It can be personal achievement, it can be internal, it can be external, it can be material, it can be spiritual, it can be anything. It's expected. If I do succeed, what do I have? And the last factor is how how much work do I need to do? Is this tiring work or is this a relatively easy work? So the equation is the chances of success multiplied by expected payoff divided by the amount of effort. And the more effort I need to put in, the less motivated I'll be doing something. Right? If I don't need to put any effort, then I'll be super motivated. If I have high payoff, whatever that payoff is, like I said, can be monetary, non-monetary, can be material, it can be spiritual, whatever. The higher the payoff, the more motivated I am. But the key thing here is the chances of success. If I don't see myself succeeding, it becomes zero. And as it is here, there's a multiplying effect. 0 times anything is 0. So you can tell the staff, you can tell the colleagues that if you do A, you get a lot of money, you'll be paid a lot of bonuses. Sometimes people are not motivated. This happens a lot in usually sales meetings, annual sales review. Suddenly the boss says, we had a great year last year. This year we are going to double our sales. Everybody's sales targets are going to be doubled. And the boss will sometimes also say that if you double sales, if you can achieve your new achievements, you will be paid a lot more. We will double your commissions. So by doubling your commissions, you actually get 4 times your previous pay. Right? Because you, assuming that last year you made 1 million, now this year your target is 2 million. If your commission on 1 million is 10%, now it's increased to 20%, so it's double times double. You make 4 times what you made last year. So the payoff seems to be huge. But some salespeople actually become very demotivated because they are thinking, last year I had to script through everything, I have to tweeze every arm of my customer, I have to sweet talk and con and do something that is barely legal to hit my targets. Now you want me to double it? I'm crazy. Okay, so if they see themselves having no chances or low chances of success, they won't do it. Right, so these are some of the things that we need to bear in mind. So if we are looking into motivation factors, so besides having money or even some recognition or reward, sometimes training can be a good motivator. Why? Because when you have training, assuming the training is well done, you actually increase your chances of success. Before, I don't know what to do. Now, after training, I roughly know what I can do. And if I am in doubt, if I have questions, I know who I can ask, I know who can support me. I increase my chances of success. I actually become more motivated to do something. Right? So this is something that we can look into some of the possible motivators. Expect payoffs, as mentioned, it need not be monetary. Is anyone who has a financial background? Either you have a financial degree or studies, or you work in the finance or accounts department before. Okay, let's check. Now, just put in your shoes in your finance manager, right? For a finance manager, what kinds of motivation is the, in a way, best, in a way, most cost-effective to the company? If you're a finance manager, what kinds of motivation to the staff in general will be the most cost-effective motivation, strategy, or solution for the company?
Free ones.
Sorry?
Free ones.
Free ones, yes. So what specifically what? Of course it's free ones, yes, but what? Free ones or close to free ones? Fund training, okay, get the government to pay for it. Yes. That's one way. Free ones. So need not be training. What else? We're just putting in what kind of payoffs can we get? Yeah, free ones or close to free ones. What kind of motivations are free? What? Sorry?
A good relationship with your manager.
Good relationship with manager. Well, specifically if you get recognition, as in verbal recognition, verbal encouragement from managers. That's it. It's not a lot of motivation, but it's free. It's absolutely free. Now, when you think about conversations between managers and subordinates, out of 10 things the managers speak about or tell the subordinate, what do you think will be the proportion of praises versus criticism? What do you think is the proportion? 70-30. Okay, you are very optimistic. Anything else? It's, the most serious situation is 10-0. 10-0. All criticisms, no praises. That's one extreme, and it's not a rare extreme. Sometimes happens a lot. Most of the time, it's something like 10 to 90, 10% to 90%, or 20% to 80%. Okay, we get criticism much more than we get praises and recognitions. And why is that? Why are we so mean as managers to our subordinates? And this is statistics not just happening in like Asian culture or whatever it is. These are statistics that apply across everywhere in the world. The same thing. Managers tend to give more criticisms than they give more praises and recognition. And the ratio is something like 80-20 most of the time. Why are we so evil?
The more we give praise, I find
Yes.
the person will get more complacent.
Maybe. Maybe.
That's how I think managers can
Okay.
for them to improve.
Right. Think about this. When someone does a good job, is that expected or is that unexpected? Expected. Everyone is expected to do a good job. That's why you're there in a job. So when someone does something that is expected, will you go out of the way to say, good job? No. Right? So it's expected. When someone makes a mistake, it's unexpected. That's why it stands out so clear that you'll be slammed left, right, center because you did something unexpected and it's bad. Right? So that's why it comes to us that we tend to be more criticizing and have more criticism for our people than giving praise. Now we talk about people who could be becoming more complacent as a result of praise. Actually, they don't become complacent. Sometimes they become not complacent. It really depends on how you give the praise, recognition, and encouragement. Now, this can be typical of some American CEOs. Nothing against Americans, if you are one. It's just typical. And it's not a stereotype. It's just some American managers tend to do this. There's some American managers who are very energetic, high power, likes to go around and talk to people, especially the higher up they are. They like to go around and shake the hands of their employees that are really down below and somewhere else in some far-flung corners of the world. So they go, just imagine it's an American CEO goes to a factory in some rural places and excited about seeing the workers doing a good job. So every time he sees a worker, he says, good job, well done. Right? Because another worker is, good job, well done. Right? So this is typical American senior managers. Now, if you are being told by a manager, good job, well done, for the first time, how would you feel? Excited, right? CEO, good job, well done. Right? But, what happens if this was the 10th time? The senior manager comes to you for a 10th time, good job, well done. How would you feel? Nothing.
Yes.
It's just like in Singapore, you know, we ask people, have you had lunch? Whatever you answer, nobody cares. Right? So it's just a normal greeting, that's all. So it's a matter of how you vary your praise and recognition. And the right way is if you are actually precise and specific. It's not about giving praise just for the sake of giving praise. If someone actually completes something on time, just tell someone that, oh, I know that you have a tight schedules, you've got a lot of things to do, but I still complete things on time. Great, thank you. Or to someone like Jerry, we know that we're all stuck in the jam, and Jerry came at 8:30 in the morning, or 8 in the morning. Fantastic. We don't have to go, and this is specific to Asian culture. Some Asian bosses find it so it brings about some goose pimples to try to tell something nice or someone else. You don't have to do that. Just need to state the facts. State the fact that, well, we know that this person has been working till 10 p.m. at night for the last 5 days to get something done. Just state the fact. And that person will feel that, well, one, feel that I'm going to praise my boss, and two, the boss actually knows what I'm doing. That is the motivator effect. And every time that person does a slightly different thing can vary the event slightly, so it doesn't sound dummy to the person. And to the finance manager, it's free. That is one time. Well, what else is close to free? It's not exactly free, but quite close. To give you a clue, we all have annual company dinner and dance, annual company parties, annual company whatever, right? And during these annual company dinner and dances, what we do is also we reward some outstanding employee of the year, right? So if assuming that you reward that outstanding employee of the year of the department or whatever it is, you give them about a ring packet of $500. It's longer. 500. Give the outstanding employee of the year. What happens to that $500 the next day? Gets spent. It's gone. Right? So it's not. Sometimes it's not the next day. Sometimes it's that very night. It's gone. Okay,
I always worry about awards like that as well, because for me, how can you pick one outstanding employee? I actually think you motivate that one person, and at the same time you demotivate everyone.
Exactly. So instead of giving the red packet and cash rewards, some other companies, what they did is they buy a $10 trophy, plastic, maybe glass, but $10 trophy with the person's name inscribed on it, and in the D&D, just give it to the employee. What happens to that trophy? We'll come to the impact on other people involved, but to that person, what happens to the treatment of that trophy? Where do you think the trophy will be placed? On the desk. Yeah. And it lasts for 1 year. Right? At least lasts for 1 year. It's going to be there, remind yourself that I was the outstanding employee of the year last year, so I need to be better, or at least I need to be a role model. So it's a reminder, and that's that motivating impact, right? on that person. The other thing on others, when other people pass by this person's desk, what will be the impact on other people? There can be two results, the positive and the negative. The possible negative result is why he got it and I didn't get it. I'll come to that. The positive one is I want to get that as well next year. Okay, so how do we prevent the negative one? If your criteria, if the way you actually select or reward the outstanding person in whatever endeavor of a company, of a certain region, of a certain job type, of whatever category you want to put into, just like the Oscars, we have different categories of awards. As long as the criteria is transparent, the way you select is clear, it's perceived to be fair somehow. It may not be completely fair, but at least it's somehow perceived to be fair, open, transparent, shouldn't have an issue. Some companies do it slightly different way. Instead of awarding one person, they award rewards to a group. And it may not be a department. It can be a work group or a team. Sorry.
I would like to bring up a negative example of this kind of motivation,
sure,
because it can be brought to an extreme where it has a negative impact. And this impact is well demonstrated at Unilever. I think Unilever is a company everybody knows.
Yes.
And Unilever does exactly this non-monetary rewarding system, but
yes,
they over-exceed it. People who are good workers are allowed to come in a green t-shirt to work. People who are normal workers have to wear a white t-shirt. People who are underperformers have to come in red quarter they are revising, and then you get the color on your T-shirt for the next quarter.
Sure.
Right. I think if I'm working in Unilever, I'll forever condemned to wearing red T-shirts. So, yeah, I'm not really okay.
So just to give an example,
I know,
of
course.
see this way.
We want to make it. The first criteria of any kind of rewards management, what we call managing rewards, motivation, whatever it is, keep it simple. You want it to be easily managed, implemented, so you don't want to make it so complex that even you have got a hard time trying to dish out the rewards to people. So keep it simple, right? The other thing is, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to make it such a way that while you do reward someone, you actually upset a lot of other people. So that's a thing that you are mindful of. The third thing is, yes, there can be a lot of monetary rewards, but what do we say about satisfiers? You still need to pay them enough of a base. Basic salary, the base has to be enough. What is definition of enough? It varies from person to person, varies on what kind of position, but more or less that person must feel that they don't feel kind of dissatisfied to start with. And why is this important? You can have the best motivators in the world, but if something else that is important and is not given, that person is going to feel demotivated just as well and may leave the company. To give an example, some companies has got very good recreational facilities. Some companies has got indoor, you've got room for playing. If you're working for Google, you've got billiard tables. Right? You play table soccer. Some companies got their in-house gym. You can go to the gym, do a workout. Some companies got adjacent tennis courts, badminton courts, and whatnot. Right? Some companies, if they're really rich, they've got adjacent swimming pools, so they've got great facilities to motivate people, to keep people. It's one part. Now, imagine for a while that in the same company, there is a boss in the company who is very abusive, verbally abusive to his subordinates. This person, whenever the subordinate did something that is not to expectation, he will say, "You are an idiot. Your brain is made out of water." No, it's coconut eggs. No, inside all water. You are a waste of company resources. That sort of thing, that kind of personal verbal abuse, like what we get in the army. That kind of thing. So you have two things that are happening equally. One is that you've got great stuff. You've got swimming pools, you've got gym, you've got tennis courts, you've got all kinds of recreational facilities. And in the case of Google, you probably will have a free flow Starbucks coffee all day long, that kind of thing. And on the other hand, you've got a very abusive manager. These two things happening at the same time. Will that person be motivated? No. Why not? All the great facilities, free flow Starbucks coffee every day. Why? Doesn't feel, sometimes not even harmony, sometimes for dignity, self-respect, that kind of thing. It's a kind of, if you have a pimple on your face, you don't go to a salon and do a pedicure. Right? So it's about motivation sometimes is about addressing the right issue. Having a recreational facility that's great is great, but it does not address the issue why this person is not motivated. Right? So these are some things we need to look into. Now, these are some of the needs, and depending on what kind of theories you have or what kind of background you have, there are different kind of needs. And in this case, we just outline 7 driving needs. We have achievement, power, affiliation, security, reward, prevention, utilization, and so on. For high performance, what will be the top 3 needs of a high performer? For someone who is contributing well in the company, what do you think will be top 3 needs? Power, rewards,
Recognition.
actualization. Okay, recognition. Wonderful. Okay, just for the sake of saving time, this is the answer. Okay, for high performance, you got achievement, power, adventure. Interestingly, adventure. High achievers like to try new things, like to do things a certain way, especially now. Okay, so they want to take some risks, they want to try something different, and sometimes it can be a little bit hard-handled sometimes. The other part is they want to have more power, they want to rise up in the organization, they probably, well, if you have more power, sometimes you will have more room for adventure. You can call shots, you can make your own decisions, you have freedom to move. And of course, they're driven by achievement. So, before we go for a break, let's split ourselves in, we have 3 groups. How do you want to split? You want to go with them? And maybe one of you can also join them. So, who's the person in your group that you don't like?
Wow.
Who's the person that you want to send as a spy in Spider-Man? Right, so we get what now that what these 3 groups do is now that we have more or less you may agree, you may disagree, it doesn't matter, just assume we all agree that high performance somehow focus on this 3 needs: achievement, power, and attention. If you are a manager of high performance, and how would you want to do things? What are things you want to do so that you actually satisfy the needs of this 3 aspects? And the reason we have 3 groups is we just want to split the work. We just have one group to take one need. So if one group takes the need of achievement and you have high performer, and it's likely that this high performer has got a high need for achievement, what are the things you should do and what are things that you should not do so that you motivate a person with high achievement? And another group will take adventure, another group will take power. Sense? So who wants to take the first one? Achievement. Achievement wants? Achievement? Okay.
Our group.
Yes, your group, yes. Achievement. Okay. Power? Power, let's say power. Power, okay, power. And let's go on the adventurous one. So let's have 5 minutes of discussion. We have 5 minutes. If your staff is high achiever, they're likely to have this 3 needs. So what are the things that you should and should not? So it's the do's and don'ts in particular to the need. Okay, what are things that you can do and don't so that you actually satisfy those needs? 5 minutes, and we'll have each group to come up with some of the suggestions, some of the sharing